It had been less than a week since leaving Annie's, and I was already getting antsy. There was no way to know when this ritual would actually begin, so we were just waiting to hear more from Annie. But until that happened, I knew that if I just sat around waiting, I would drive myself crazy. So instead, I decided to throw all my focus back into our work, which was, of course, looking for monsters. I had my eye on a few potential subjects, and in the middle of some cursory research, I discovered an article about a recent sighting that I had somehow missed. It seemed promising enough, so I told Mia our new destination, and we hit the road. Our next stop, South Dakota. Fritz, Fritz, I love you. You're so cute. Yes, you are.
Catchy.
Thanks.
Now that the concert's over, what are we looking for in South Dakota? Lucas?
All right, before I start, I'm going to warn you right off the bat, it has a dumb name and I don't like it.
Yeah, that makes sense. They all have bad names. Well, what is it this time?
Batsquatch.
Batsquatch. Okay, let me guess. It's some kind of giant bat?
No, but you're actually not far off. Basically, it looks something like a flying werewolf.
God damn it.
Not a lycanthrope or a loup-garou. I just mean like what a generic werewolf looks like in the public consciousness.
Whatever. Just tell me about it.
Well, the first reported sighting, and the most famous one, occurred in 1994, just outside of Tacoma, Washington. An 18-year-old named Brian Canfield was driving alone at night. Of course, when his car died. I don't know what specifically, something with the engine, I think, but I know at least the headlights were still working. Anyway, it happened fast enough that he didn't have time to pull over, so he was just sitting there in the middle of the road when a creature landed on the ground about 30 feet ahead of him. Now, I know his headlights were still working because that was how he was able to see it. He said it was 9 feet tall, humanoid, or at least ape-like, blue fur, head like a wolf with a big mouth, and he specifically said it had teeth but not fangs. He also said, and I'm quoting here, its eyes were yellow and shaped like a piece of pie with pupils like a half moon. I assume he means a triangle and a half circle, but, why not just say a triangle and a half circle?
Maybe he's just a real poet.
Yeah, I don't know. After a few minutes of just standing there in the road, it unfurled its wings, which apparently stretched out as wide as the road. Then it flew away, and supposedly Brian's car started working again almost immediately. After that, he told people about the sighting, and he's the one that actually coined the name Batsquatch.
Okay, not totally outlandish. Well, besides the car magically dying, that sounds like some UFO sighting shit.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that either. I've got a few more sightings here, and nothing like that happens again. Maybe he was exaggerating, or it was just a weird coincidence, or something. Anyway, there was another sighting in 1994 over Mount Rainier, which is also very close to the first sighting. A pilot was flying through the area and described seeing a winged humanoid that flew up to his plane and kept pace for a short time before flying away.
I would imagine a pilot sees enough birds for that to not be a misidentification.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Then the story goes quiet until 2005. The next sightings are in a town called La Crosse, Wisconsin, which I know is pretty far from Washington, but if we're dealing with a creature that flies, it could get pretty far, especially over the course of 10 years.
A fair assessment.
So in La Crosse, this guy hears a rustling up in the trees and sees this humanoid creature fly out and land on top of his garage. It runs across the roof and then flies away. Then, a week later, his neighbor saw the creature as well. He said it landed in his yard and described it as humanoid but walking on all fours like Gollum.
The creepy pale guy that says, "My precious"?
Exactly. He also said it had large hands and feet. Then, a year later, still in La Crosse, a man and his son, both adults, were driving and almost hit what they described as a giant humanoid bat when it flew in front of them. They estimated its wingspan to be around 10 to 12 feet, and apparently they were so scared by the encounter that they were both sick and nauseous for the rest of that night.
I don't blame them. Remember that time I hit a duck? I was a mess.
Yeah, that sucked. On a brighter note, though, you'll like this next sighting. I don't believe it at all for a second, but I had to share it. So, in 2009, on Mount Shasta in California, 2 hikers reported seeing a creature that had the head of a bat, red eyes, purple skin, and wings of a pterodactyl. Not too crazy as far as cryptids go, but then they go on to compare its body to Hulk Hogan and say that it had a 50-foot wingspan. So, yeah. Brother.
Jesus.
On a similar note, I have one other questionable sighting. I think this one was just a misidentification and not an actual cryptid, but it was too good to not share. This one caught my eye because it was back in Tacoma. Now, in 2011, a witness saw something huge and cat-like that made jungle monkey or bird noises. It only had a 4-foot wingspan, and they called it, you ready for this, the monkey bird.
Wow. That might actually win the award for dumbest name yet.
I fully agree. Anyway, I discounted this one since, for one thing, it's much smaller than all the other sightings. As I'm saying this, I realize it could possibly be a juvenile Batsquatch, but I don't think so. There are actually some bats that have wolf-like heads, like the flying fox bat.
Good point.
Granted, those aren't indigenous to Washington, and animals showing up where they shouldn't be are technically still cryptids, but I do think this one was just an actual legitimate case of an exotic animal on the loose.
Wow, look at you being all logical.
I have my moments. Anyway, that takes us up to the present and the sighting that we're going to investigate. It's actually not super recent. It happened about a year ago. Don't know how I missed it.
Me either. Maybe, I don't know, we were busy fighting a cult or something.
Okay, fair point. Anyway, this guy, Cody Hofstetter, got into a car accident. He's okay, but apparently the crash was caused by a creature that sounds very similar to other descriptions of the Batsquatch.
Alright then, let's go find ourselves a Batsquatch.
We were nearing Rapid City, South Dakota, where our witness lived. It was the second most populous city in the state. As I often did when visiting a new place, I looked up some information on the town and any nearby attractions. Oh my god.
What?
We're only like an hour away from Deadwood. Can we please stop and visit?
Deadwood?
The town! Like in the show?
Okay.
Oh, dang, we're even closer to Mount Rushmore.
Really?
Yeah, it's only half an hour outside Rapid City.
How did you not realize we were going to be so close to Mount Rushmore? It's, like, one of the biggest attractions in the country. Top 10 at least.
Oh, I just didn't really notice it until now. But Deadwood, though?
You're ridiculous sometimes.
Before we had gotten to Rapid City, I also reached out to the witness, Cody Hofstetter. Surprisingly, he was actually pretty willing and happy to talk about it. Although he did insist that we meet in public, which, fair enough, we were strangers. Once we got into town, though, and got settled, we arranged a meeting and headed down to Main Street Square. Hi, Cody?
Lucas? Mia?
Yep, that's us.
What's the code word I gave you?
Tomato sauce.
Code word?
You can never be too careful.
Right, of course. So, Lucas tells me you got into a car crash?
Yeah, but I assume you want the whole story.
Of course.
Okay, it was last March, maybe 9:15 at night. I was driving home, middle of the woods, thought I saw something up in the trees. There were no other cars around, so I slowed down a little. I got another look at it, and it was flying overhead, keeping pace with my car. It let out this ear-splitting scream and took off. I started to get really nauseous, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up on the side of the road. Thankfully, I still had service out there, so I was able to call 911.
But you were okay.
A couple of broken bones, bruises, nothing that wouldn't heal. Did leave me with this scar, though.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Gives me one hell of a story. How many other people get to say they have a scar from an alien?
I'm sorry. Alien?
Yeah.
Wait, it's an alien? What makes you say that? Did you see a UFO? Any strange lights?
No, but get this. The men in black erased my memory. And if they're involved, it must be aliens, right?
Sorry. What now?
Look, here's my journal. This is from the day after the accident. I wrote what I saw. It's all in there. Human-sized, covered in fur, had big bat wings, yellow eyes.
Yeah, that matches descriptions.
But I can't remember any of that.
Oh, actually...
The men in black got in my head, just like in the movies, you know, the little flashy thing. Only instead of erasing the whole night, they somehow managed only to erase what it looked like.
Right. Listen, I hate to break it to you, but that's just what happens with cryptids. They're creatures that mess with your mind.
Can't be photographed either. That's why most people don't believe in them.
Oh, wait. Really?
Really?
So it wasn't an alien?
I mean, it could be.
It's not an alien.
Well, whatever it is, don't worry. The men in black don't erase people's memories.
Wait, how do you know?
Speaking of the men in black, I heard back from Agent Sawyer. He said he's on assignment right now, but the Ordo does respond to any supernatural trouble they know about.
Supernatural?
You know what he means. Weird stuff. My point is, if we do end up needing help, they'll be there. Maybe not Sawyer himself, but at least someone from the Ordo.
I don't know. I still don't trust them as much as you do.
Alright, they may not have the best methods, but, I mean, they are still doing good in the world. Like it or not, killing dangerous creatures does help people.
Well, hopefully we won't need their kind of help.
Once everything was set, we trekked out into the wilderness. Since none of the reports indicated aggression, we decided to let Fritz come along with us. Now, we had no idea what a Batsquatch might eat, so any food lures were out. We brought our motion cameras to set up around the area, but considering the creature could fly, there was no telling how useful those would be. So our plan was to just camp out there for a few days, do some tracking, and hope for the best. Right after sundown on that first night, though, we ran into a bit of good luck when Mia's powers kicked in unexpectedly. I got out the cattle prod, just in case, and we went off into the woods.
This way.
You hear that? Something definitely just landed, right past these trees. As the creature shrieked, we both doubled over. A wave of nausea and a splitting headache came over us, and before we could get a good look at it, the creature was gone. After sitting in silence for about 10 minutes, we had finally recovered enough to walk back to camp. Well, I think it's safe to assume why Cody crashed his car. And that older sighting, too. Its roar must make people sick. Pretty cool power, though.
I have heard that there are some frequencies that make people sick. I wonder if this works in a similar way.
Fortunately, we had a supply of earplugs on hand from doing target practice with Norman's hunting rifle. So, the next morning, we went back to the same area. And this time, we brought the earplugs with us.
Hey, I think we've got a print.
Ooh, nice.
It does look humanoid. Maybe some kind of ape? Although, see these bits here above the toes?
Yeah.
Might be claw marks.
We continued looking for the creature through a mix of Mia's powers and some good old-fashioned animal tracking. It took most of the day, but we finally got close again. At this point, we each put in a pair of earplugs, and Mia led us forward. We passed a large fallen tree trunk, and on the other side, we found the creature standing in front of us.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't be scared. We just want to say hi.
Mia's powers seemed to reach the creature, and it calmed down. She waited for a moment before taking her earplugs out and beckoning for me to do the same. Are you sure about this?
I'm never sure, but I think we're okay. Hey there, big fella. You didn't mean to make us sick, did you? You were just scared. I know. It's okay. We'll leave you alone.
The creature was no longer scared, but it was apparently bored. After looking at us for another moment, it cocked its head quizzically and then flapped its wings, taking flight.
Hi, girl. I know, you missed us.
So that scream, it's not a defense mechanism?
No, I don't think so. I got the impression that it's just the sound it makes when it's scared. I don't think it even knows that the sound makes people sick.
Huh. Well, for something so easily scared, it sure is curious.
What do you mean?
Cars, houses, that one guy flying the plane, none of the sightings were out here in the wild. In all the reports, it's like the Batsquatch came to them, like it was, curious.
Huh, that's a good point. Well, in that case, I guess it's a good thing it's not dangerous. Still could do with a better name, though.
Yeah. Too bad Batman is already taken. So, that's Mount Rushmore.
Sure is.
It's alright.
Yeah, smaller than I imagined.
Still no Deadwood.
Field notes. Batsquatch. Despite my feelings on its name, I think it may actually be pretty accurate. But I'll get to that in a minute. Overall, the creature did have a human or ape-like build and was covered in patchy, grayish-blue fur. Now, despite its build, it was very hunched and walked primarily with all 4 hands and feet on the ground. Not counting its wings, the creature measured 4 feet tall, though this was with its pseudo-quadrupedal stance. If it had stood straight up, it probably would have been closer to 7 feet in height. Each of its wings was also just over 7 feet in length, which, combined, would give the creature a wingspan of almost 15 feet. Now, despite appearing ape-like, there were some notable differences. The claws on its feet were more pronounced, which might possibly help with tree grasping, considering it can fly and spends time in the trees. Unlike most apes, its muzzle was far more protruded. Something like a baboon or howler monkey is the first thing that comes to mind, though I can see how it might be described as wolf-like. Its ears were long, thin, and pointed. Oh, and the other big thing? The wings. They appeared primarily bat-like, with skin membranes that stretched between basically fingers and a thumb on top. Now, I mentioned howler monkeys, and appropriately enough, as the creature is capable of producing loud vocalizations that seem to induce nausea in humans. I think it has something to do with the frequency of the call, but I don't know enough about the science of sound waves to know for sure. Physics isn't really my field. Although we have been able to listen to recordings of the call without getting sick, so who knows? Anyway, having gotten a good look at the creature, I think that, true to its name, the Batsquatch is actually a Sasquatch or Sasquatch relative that was born with deformities or mutations. For one thing, most of the Sasquatch specimens we've encountered so far have had extremely similar golden-colored eyes. And this creature was no exception. Additionally, counting the wings, the Batsquatch had 6 limbs. While cryptids do exhibit extraordinary mutations, extra limbs don't usually seem to be part of that. We have, however, seen one notable exception: the Jersey Devil. Considering that creature was likely a human with some sort of extreme Enigma-related mutations, I think something similar happened here. Only instead of a human, it happened to a Sasquatch. Cryptids are rare creatures to begin with, but mutations like this seem to be even rarer. I wonder how many others are out there. End field notes.
The Cryptid Cases has been a production of Little Giant Monsters.
You can follow us by searching Little Giant Monsters on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to keep up to date with everything we're working on. We even post a sketch of the latest cryptid every Monday after a new episode.
You can also visit our website, littlegiantmonsters.com, to see all of our content in one place.
While you're there, want our designs on stickers, t-shirts, coffee mugs, and more? We now have merch. Just look for the merchandise link on our website.
If you really like what we're doing and want to see us do more, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Rewards include behind-the-scenes content, bonus material, and more. Search Little Giant Monsters on Patreon or find a link on our website.
You can also help us by leaving a rating and review on iTunes. Not only does each review warm our cold, cynical hearts, but it helps us move up the charts and bring the show to a wider audience.
Your continued support means so much to us. Thanks for listening and see you again soon.